In this episode, we are building off of the last one by answering the question, what do I say if they tell me they're suicidal? Or even more tricky, what if they make me promise not to tell anybody if they do tell me? Welcome to the Suicide Prevention Lady podcast, where we make intervention easy. I'm Dr. Ricky Turner. I'm a suicide intervention expert, keynote speaker, and trainer. And I want to point out, please note, I am the thinky kind of doctor and not the medical kind of doctor. So please don't take anything I say in this as medical advice. Now, in my many years of doing this type of work, a lot of times people are just like, I don't know what to say. I don't want to make it worse. And if you missed that episode, go back to the last episode where I talked about you're not going to make it worse. Okay. But now that we're kind of over that hump, it's time to really talk about, okay, we know that we're concerned about this person. So we need to ask them if they're suicidal. Are they planning on hurting themselves? And it's kind of awkward. I get that. It's not a great feeling, but it is important. And so much research shows that asking the question is super helpful and is a powerful intervention tool. I hear a lot of people saying it's not the right thing to do because if they really wanted to, they're not going to tell me about it. And that's just a huge myth. I don't know how to say that in another way. It's a huge myth. That's not how it works. Because we know that most people who are suicidal, who are considering suicide, most of those people don't really want to die. Suicide is almost never about, I want to die. It is, I want to not hurt anymore. I don't want to feel this pain. They just want relief. And in their mind, they've tried everything. They've done everything that they can, that they have the ability to do, and nothing has helped. And so it just seems like that's what they have left. That's what they have to do. So what do we do as the ones who care about them? You can ask this question very directly. You can ask it in a roundabout way, but you want to make sure that when you're asking it, it is actually coming across that you are concerned about their well-being. Okay. So I tend to go the direct route. This is my MO. If you know me in person, you know I'm a very direct person. So I would say, hey, some of the things you've been saying or doing or whatever, lay out just a little bit of why you're concerned about them. But it makes me a little concerned about your safety. Are you considering suicide? Are you planning anything? I'm not saying ask these rapid fire. I'm giving you examples of what you could ask. Are you considering hurting yourself at all? Asking these type of questions, you're getting to the root of the problem. You're showing that you are concerned about them and that you've noticed that something isn't right. That is a powerful act of intervention right there. That is a way of loving on somebody when you're willing to have a conversation that is both awkward for them and you at the same time, because you love them, because you don't want them to go through with a plan like this. It's huge. Okay. So ask them the question and just be direct about it. And like, hey, can we have a discussion here? I'm really worried about you. And I just need to know, are you considering hurting yourself? Are you considering suicide? Now, here's the problem with asking questions. Sometimes, most of the time, you get an answer. Okay. So let's go through the possible answers that you may hear. The first one is, no, of course not. Why would you think that? Okay. Getting defensive about it. It's okay. It's okay to ask and them give you a no. That's going to happen sometimes. Okay. And we want to be wrong about our assumptions, right? We don't want them to be able to do that or to be thinking of that, right? But it's a reality that we have to live with. So when you ask them the question and they come back with, no, are we done? No, we're not done, because now we need to tell them, okay, well, here's why I've been concerned about you. Let's talk about that. And you can list off the reasons. Now, this isn't a, well, you haven't, we're not admonishing them, right? We're not, well, you haven't done this and you haven't done this and you haven't done this, but you're just expressing to them in a way that just says, I don't know, I haven't heard from you in a long time, and that's unlike you. And then when we do talk, like, you've been making a few jokes about it, and it just seems like that might be something that's on your mind. And then reaffirming to them, if you ever are, though, I want you to know I'm a safe person to talk to. And just letting them know, hey, I got you. If that was what you were doing, I wasn't going to judge you or anything like that. I just wanted to be here for you and help you because I care about you. So giving that sort of affirmation to them. Okay. But what if they say, actually, yeah, I am. Again, are we done? No, we are big not done now, right? At this point, we have to then continue with kind of questioning so that we can figure out, okay, well, what's going on here? So I have said, hey, I'm really concerned about you. Are you thinking of hurting yourself? Are you considering suicide? And they say, actually, yeah, I have been for a while. When they say that, our human instinct is to be like, whoa, why? Why would you do that? Here's all the reasons why you shouldn't. And oh, well, what do you have to be depressed about? What are you trying to escape or whatever? And it gets very attacky, it gets very defensive, and it's okay that that's where our initial reaction is. And earlier in my career, that's probably what I did too, honestly. But that isn't helpful for the person who has just divulged this information. So I want you to, if this happens, you take a deep breath, take a pause, take a beat. You don't have to immediately respond. Take a moment, gather yourself, and the next question out of your mouth is, do you have a plan? Right now, they've just given you this information, they just shared with you, and it's deep and it's raw and it's hard. Okay. Now you can say, oh my gosh, thank you for trusting me with that. Do you have a plan? Like, you can say that. But we don't want to love bomb them in this moment because they're going to get defensive. We don't want to point out all the reasons they have to stay. They already know those. We don't need to point out that others have it worse or anything like that. They know that makes them feel worse. Okay. What we need to know right now, it's about safety. It's about keeping them safe and getting them help. So we're going to say, do you have a plan? And if they say, no, I don't have a plan. Again, we're not done. We are not finished. But okay, so what do you think about? And just allow them the opportunity to talk. Okay. Here you're going to get some kind of assessment a little bit. You're going to kind of understand, is this something that is really emergent or something they consider or whatever? And we're not just going to leave this conversation. We're going to say, okay, we're going to let them talk without judgment. Okay. Let them talk without you trying to fix the problem for them. More often than not, that's what I hear is people are like, I just want somebody to listen to me and like to know that I'm not crazy and to just be there for me. Right. And that takes being there with them, sitting with them, sitting in the uncomfortable, but being there as a person and showing them love. Okay. So they said, no, I don't have a plan. And you're like, okay, well, what's led you to this point? What are you thinking about? What's going on? And in here, you can say, I just want you to know, thank you for sharing with me. It means a lot. And I love you so much. And you're so important in my life. I want to do everything I can to keep you safe. Something along those lines, just to reiterate to them that they are safe with you and that you don't want to lose them. Okay. All right. Now let's go back and let's pretend you just asked them if they are suicidal. They said yes. You said, do you have a plan? And they say Yes. This is hard, right? So your next question, we're not asking anything else other than, what is your plan? What is your plan? Now, some people are like, that sounds like I'm encouraging them to do it. No, it doesn't. But when you ask this question, you're able to get information from them that will help you keep them safe. Okay. So they are going to maybe tell you what their plan is, maybe not. But when they answer that question, you want as much detail as possible. Okay. When, where, how, do they have all of that planned out? Do they have a means? Do they have a place? Do they have a time? All of those things go into what makes an actual plan. Do they have access to the means? Sometimes people will say, oh, I don't know, when I'm ready, I will do this. Well, that's not exactly a plan. That is I have this kind of I have ideation in the back of my head. I have a semi plan, but like a really scary plan is when they have all of those pieces together where they like, yep, I've already made my decision. I know where everything is going to be. This is where you're going to start. Once they've said yes and they have given you what their plan is, this is when we're going to start talking about getting them in the hands of somebody who can keep them safe. Okay. If you can talk them into going to an emergency room or psychiatric hospital of some nature, this would be really great right now. Especially if it's an emergent thing, like, yeah, I was planning on doing it tonight, or I'm going to do it tomorrow, or something like that. Like, we need to get them safe and help now. Now, I have lots of friends who are police officers. I have worked with police in a number of ways. And I want to say this, calling the police is an absolute last resort for me. Historically, it's not been a great response. There's a lot of risk with that. And so if we can get them to voluntarily, you take them to a psychiatric hospital or even an ER or something like that would be the best. Asking them, is there somebody I can get for you? If maybe it's not you that is the best person, but maybe they have a parent or maybe they have a significant other or something like that that they would feel more comfortable being around, and you can share that. I'd like to share with them what you just told me so that we can all keep you safe. So that's another strategy there. Now, what some people don't understand is, number one, there is a suicide prevention hotline that you can call, and you can call or text. It's 988. It's like 911 for other emergencies, but this is a suicide prevention hotline. Okay. Now, one thing you need to know, sometimes there is a very long wait and it's upsetting how long people have to wait to get to talk to somebody, but that you can offer to call with them. You can offer to sit with them while they call them. You can offer to go to the doctor with them the next day. You can offer to help make a counseling appointment, offering to be with them during all this, because it can be really scary. Okay. Now, they may take you up on it. They may not. I don't have any control over that. But I know that offering those things is a very powerful way to help somebody, because it's scary, and not having to walk it alone is huge. Now, let's go back a second and let's pretend again that I just said, are you thinking of hurting yourself? Are you considering suicide? And they come back and they say, if I tell you, do you promise not to tell anyone? Now, I ask this to all the groups that I work with. This is one of my exercises that I do. And so often they're like, yes, you say, yeah, no, of course I won't tell anybody. And we have to take a pause there for a second, because if you promise them that you're not going to tell anybody, and then they say yes and they tell you their plan, what do? You've just promised them you won't tell anybody. So either you have taken their life into your hands, or you are going to have to break a promise to somebody who opened up to you in a very vulnerable moment. I don't like either of those options. Anytime somebody has asked me that, and it's happened a lot, anytime someone's asked me that, my response is very similar to this. I cannot make that promise to you. I can promise you that I love you and I want you safe. And I can promise I'm concerned about you. And I can promise you I will be with you every step of the way. But I cannot promise that I won't tell anybody, because if you are unsafe in some way, I'm going to do everything in my power to keep you safe. Now, that may be enough that they're like, well, then I'm not going to talk about it. And that's okay, because that is their decision. We have free will. That is their decision. But they should be informed about that decision. We should never trick somebody into telling us something as vulnerable as that. It's an ethical issue for me. And for a lot of people in the mental health world, you don't make that promise. Our goal is to keep them safe and to love on them. And regardless of what they choose to do with that information, I've never had somebody react poorly to that answer. Sometimes they're like, okay, but can you tell me first? Like, if you're going to tell somebody, will you tell me first? Absolutely. I will absolutely do that for you. I will let you know that, hey, this is outside of my realm. This is outside of my expertise. This is outside of my comfort level, whatever it is. I'm going to have to get somebody involved. Here's who I'm going to call, or even giving them the option of who is the best person. Like, at this point, I have to tap out, but I need to know who is the best person for you, whether that be taking them to the ER, like I said, taking them to a doctor, a parent, a friend, a family member, whoever, a pastor, whatever, whoever that person is, but getting permission from them for somebody. And then if they won't give you permission for anybody, then you're going to have to make that call. And that's where maybe calling a hotline number or something like that would be helpful. So it's always important to be honest and upfront. And that is honesty with our feelings, our honesty with our concerns about them. But this all needs to be encompassed in like a loving bubble. We've got to be kind. We want to listen. We don't want to give them all the reasons that they have to live. We don't want to minimize them in any way. Just listen. Ask the right questions and listen. So to recap, you're concerned about somebody. You ask them, hey, are you considering suicide? I'm concerned about you. I'm afraid you might hurt yourself. Do I have any reason to believe that that is what's going on? They answer actually yes or actually no. If they say yes, then you're like, oh, wow, thank you so much for opening up to me. I'm sure that's really scary. Do you have a plan? And if they say yes, they have a plan. What is the plan? And when they tell you what the plan is, ask some more questions. Do you know where? Do you have that available to you? Where is it? If it's something that you feel comfortable taking from them, be like, hey, I want to keep you safe. May I get that right now? And I'll have it. And if you need something, you can ask me if that's something you feel comfortable with. In another episode, not the next one, but in another episode, I'll go in depth about a safety plan, but you can Google what a safety plan is. If you get to this point, creating a safety plan with this person is a huge step. It's identifying, hey, here's my triggers. Here's how I know I'm in trouble. Here's how I'm going to tell you I'm in trouble. Here's what we're going to do if this happens. You plan the whole thing out so that when it happens, you're not struggling through these conversations. You're actually having them, you have a plan and you put it into effect. Okay. So if what you heard today was helpful for you and you think it would benefit others, this one's a pretty strong one. And it's probably the one I get asked the most about. You like, subscribe, share, but I would ask that you pick one person that you're like, I think they could really benefit from hearing this message. And share it with them directly. Like, hey, you need to check this out. Share the episode directly. This is available also on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. So any of these would be appropriate to share with somebody, but it helps get the message out there and it helps make more people comfortable having these conversations. That's the goal, right? If you also liked what you heard today and you have an event or you have something going on, you work at a college or an organization, and you think a training from me would be beneficial, please email me. You can go to my website, stillyourise.com. You can email me, ricky@stillyourise.com, and just let me know, and we can, I'm sure, work something out and set something up. In the next episode, I am interviewing a dear friend of mine who is open about her previous suicide attempts. In fact, one of our first bonding experiences was when her coming to me after she had attempted suicide the previous night. And anyway, you won't want to miss that. Join us next time so you too can intervene with ease.